Well, hello and welcome back. And a huge thank you for coming back, by the way. Very, very much appreciated. You may have noticed from the background, no, not that the sun is shining and the sky is blue, that the location is not the same. I bet you're wondering, where is he? Is he in Tala? No. Is he on Mandrea Beach? No. I'm actually sitting not that far away, it's just over there, from Aphrodite's Rock. There we are. You want to go and hunt one of our videos down on that little escapade, shall we say? Type in YouTube, Aphrodite's Rock, Marika and Me, and you'll get us climbing it. Yes, a little old man like me, but of course with my mountain goat, up we go, and you get a spectacality of a view indeed. And if you stick with me, I'm going to take you for another fantastic view, or as I say, a spectacality of a view indeed. But, like I say, that's looking pretty blue. You may have noticed that. Where am I? I'm in a picnic area. That's where I am, you see. I'll try and show it to you a little bit. So this is a picnic area, and just over yonder is the blue Mediterranean Sea, and that's where we're going to go at the end of the video. Now, forgive the post as we scan around. There's some people down there having a picnic, and then another view of the blue Mediterranean Sea, and a big parking area over there. And of course, there are quite a few picnic tables. So people like to come out and, well, sit down, perhaps make a YouTube video, perhaps have a bite to eat, or perhaps sit here with their friends and their family. Perhaps they're going to go down to Aphrodite's Rock and climb it. Who knows? But like I say, if you want to see that video, go and have a look on the YouTube search bar, Aphrodite's Rock, Marika and Me. Up will come a video or two of this little old man and his mountain goat as we scale it to the top. And I'm not going to say it's hard, but what I am going to say, like I mentioned in that video, if you are going to do it, please be very, very careful. I like to try and think I'm quite fit, quite agile. My mountain goat, of course that's Marika, well, she can go anywhere, shall we say. She's literally got little hooves as she goes up and down. So anyway, weather. That's going to be the topic of this video. And I know many people will think, that's a strange topic. We know what the weather's like in Cyprus. We know it's always sunny, and we know that it's always hot. We come out 2 or 3 times a year and we have a fantastic holiday. Perhaps you do. But there are misconceptions about the weather. Now, most people from the UK, from France, from Germany, Scandinavian countries, most countries anyway, understand that we have 4 seasons in a year. So we have spring, we have summer, we have autumn, fall, I think they call that in some places, like America, isn't it? And then we have winter. So we do have 4 seasons in Cyprus. We do. Many people now say, no, it's always hot and sunny. Well, that's not quite true. But we do have 4 seasons. The only difference in Cyprus is that 3 of the seasons, spring, summer and autumn, actually blend into one. So we are literally on the cusp of spring. I think it's arrived, but you never know. We could get a bit of rain, we could get a bit of wind, but I would say that spring has arrived. Someone racing up and down the highway on a big bike, obviously. Now, back to it. So, I would say that spring, by Cyprus standards, has arrived. I understand many countries are still locked in winter, but in Cyprus, spring has pretty much started, and it'll slowly ramp up and the temperature will go up and up. Today it's currently 20 degrees at midday. Okay, so peak temperature is around about 20 degrees in the middle of February. Not too bad. Quickly, it'll ramp up, get to the middle of March, 21, 22, into April, 23, 24, into May, 25, 26, sometimes a lot warmer. So we would say that that is spring. So that's like a summer to the UK, Germany, those kind of places. And then we go into the summer when it gets hot. Now that's a negative, obviously, but it's not, because most people want a hot summer, and most people understand that through the powers of air conditioning in cars, in your apartment, in your villa, in bars, in restaurants, we can get round it being too hot. But of course it means we can go for early morning walks, evening walks, those kind of things, which in many countries of course you can't do. So this is about the lifestyle of Cyprus, and in particular to the people who are going to come and relocate to Cyprus. From a tourist point of view is one thing, from living in a country is a totally different thing. And I think a lot of people understand that. So if you live here, to be honest, again, on a negative, it can be too hot for some people in June, July and August. But like I say, there are ways around it. You go out early in the morning, you go out later in the evening, shall we say, and you drive around in an air-conditioned car, you hang out in your air-conditioned apartments, in your air-conditioned villa, these kind of things. But then of course we go into autumn. Temperature drops down a bit. So you can go on those morning walks, those evenings out, shall we say. Obviously the day is drawn in a bit, but the temperatures are still around about 26, 27 on an evening. Yes, you heard me correctly, in October. November comes, now winter starts. Although not every year. Often November is very, very similar to a spring or an autumn, shall we say. December is when the temperatures start to go down. And I'm not going to use the word plummet. I'm not going to say they fall like off a cliff, but they do start to go down. We do start to get a bit of rain. We do start to get a bit of wind. And we do get the odd hailstone or two. What's he on about? That's what it's saying now. But we do. And actually, most years up in the Troodos Mountains, we get snow. So it's a place where you can be on a beach in the morning, go for lunch, and then go up in the Troodos Mountains and go skiing. Yes, it's a unique place in the world, and that place is called Cyprus. And this is possibly one of the reasons why you're thinking about coming to Cyprus, whether it be a holiday or whether it be to live for a year, 2 years, or perhaps even the rest of your life. And I hope that you gather something from this little video that hopefully explains to you about the seasons and the weather, because you go on various forums and you ask a question, what's it like in the winter? And you'll get many people who live in Cyprus of all different nationalities saying things like, well, it's very, very cold and it's freezing and it's always raining. So let's work backwards. So let's talk about raining. Well, it can't always be raining because you probably don't follow this, but sometimes Cyprus can find itself in a bit of a water crisis. In other words, the dams are going down, and they're almost empty. So it can't be raining all the time through the winter. Well, hold on a minute, maybe they built the dams in the wrong place. Perhaps they should pick them all up and move them over there and run round to catch that rain. But obviously, it's not true. It rains enough, fingers crossed, to fill those dams so that we can have access to drinking water, we can have a wash now and again. We've all got a cat or a dog. Normally they are waterholics, so they need to have a drink or two. So what I'm trying to explain is the weather in the winter. Now, so that's the raining side of it. Oh, it's freezing cold and it's always damp. That's not true either. It's just that the properties are constructed in a different way to perhaps the properties in northern Germany, northern France, the UK, Scandinavian countries. They're not designed to contain the heat. They are designed pretty much for that longer season of spring, summer and autumn, where they're open and airy, and the idea is to open as many windows as possible to get as much air in as possible because it's hot. But of course, when we come to the winter, most of these properties now are not designed for that very, very short winter. So it rains, most constructions are concrete. Concrete absorbs rain, moisture, and then of course it resonates into the property. Most of the floors, they'll be tiled. So ceramic tiles are good for keeping it cool. They are good for cleaning, but of course they're not very good for keeping it warm. And again, picture the scenario. So you're walking around your apartment, you're walking around your villa with no slippers on, that's an old word, isn't it? No shoes on, no socks on, in a pair of shorts and a t-shirt, and when someone asks you what the winter's like, oh, it's a bit cold, it's really, really cold, but you've got no clothes on. That's why it's cold, and hopefully people gather that, by the way. Now, many properties these days, certainly in the higher echelons of properties, will have things like underfloor heating. So there we go, that solves that little problem. I'm lucky enough to be able to walk around in my bare feet, don't have to have a pair of slippers. Haven't had a pair of slippers for, I don't know, probably 50 years. Yeah, I'm old, unfortunately. And it's something you used to get for Christmas, wasn't it? A pair of slippers off your grandmother, another pair off your auntie, and another pair off another auntie. And they were never in blue, so I never really liked them. Anyway, there you go. For those of you who know me, I only wear blue. Well, normally, I only wear blue, shall we say. So I'm trying to dispel the myth of the seasons. There are 4 seasons, but 3 of them technically, as far as you're concerned, blend into one. Then we go to the winter season, and that's when a lot of people will say that it's cold, it's damp, it's dreary. Well, it's probably cold and damp and dreary in the UK. It's probably cold and damp and dreary in Munich. It's probably cold and damp and dreary in Paris. So I don't know what they're complaining about. And again, you see people walking around in a t-shirt and a little light knit top, and then they'll say, oh, you know, it's a little bit cold outside. Put some clothes on, put a coat on then if you're cold. Don't blame the weather for it, because if you were back in your mother country, you'd be all wrapped up with woolly gloves and mittens and all sorts of things on, woolly little ear warmers, a big hat all pulling down, a ski mask on, all these kind of things. So people just forget, don't they? They just forget. Now I understand that the majority of people watching this video are very, very clever people, very, very intelligent people, and perhaps read that remark, read that comment and say things like, well, you know, put some shoes on, or, you know, put your heating on, or, I tell you what, put a jacket on. I'm going to say a huge thank you for watching. I hope that you've enjoyed it. Hopefully you've taken a little something from this video. And if you want further help and advice, if you're thinking about relocating to Cyprus, I think many people now understand that what we do is a complete relocation service to Cyprus. You book your flights, we can book your short-term accommodation, or you can book your short-term accommodation while we then go on the quest to find that long-term perfect apartment or perfect villa. Change those bills into your name. We can organise a hire car, or you can organise a hire car. We can help you to buy a car, or you can buy the car on your own. But there's many, many services that we offer, and we then can hold you by the hand and take you through the immigration service. Make it very, very smooth, run around and do all of the organisation of all of the little items that you're going to need, and then transport you to Nicosia. That's where we go. We don't deal with the local satellite offices, we go straight to the head, and that's in Nicosia. If you book at some of our services, I was going to say, you can book all of our services or some of our services, but the immigration part is something that you will have to go through if you want to live in Cyprus, and we go straight to the head in Nicosia. When we come out of the immigration office in Nicosia, you will receive in your hand whichever slip, whichever right to residency in Cyprus that you have applied for. So, I promised you a little view, so let's go and have a look at it. Stick with us, the sun is shining, and it's a very, very nice day indeed in Cyprus, there's no doubt about that. I've got to gather my things, if you understand me. So this is the picnic area, and there are 1 or 2 couples and families, shall we say, that have arrived, and they're enjoying the weather. And like I say, bear in mind, middle of February, and there's people standing around in t-shirts, having a bite to eat, having a drink, because they understand that, well, this is Cyprus in the middle of February. This is not England in the middle of February, not Germany in the middle of February, not Scandinavian countries in the middle of February. So if you are looking for an improved lifestyle, Cyprus could be at the very, very top of your list. And I promise you, you won't regret making that move. And like I say, if you want further help and advice, hunt us down on the internet, marikaandme.com. That's the website where you can drop us a message. Directly email us at relocatetopaphos@gmail.com or relocatetocyprus@gmail.com. My WhatsApp number is in the description on this video, just down below. Go and have a look at it, and you can drop me a message, and you never know, we could become the greatest friends in the world as we help you to relocate to Cyprus, in particular Paphos. So whether you're looking for a hire car, whether you're looking for short-term accommodation, long-term accommodation, immigration services, the list goes on and on and on. I'm going to say a huge thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing you again very, very soon indeed.